Well, just moments ago in a news conference, BC's Premier David Eby said the country cannot rely on big tech companies to keep Canadians safe. This comes after meetings with OpenAI revealing some, but not many, details about why the company didn't notify police when it banned the Tumbler Ridge shooter from its ChatGPT site months ago, something that OpenAI now says would have been handled differently under its current rules. Lots to unpack in this story, and Sarah Galashan is here to do that. Sarah.
Yeah, well, Ian, so the BC Premier David Eby, he is also responding to this letter that has just come out. OpenAI had, subsequent to that meeting with the federal ministers, promised that they were going to be back to them with more concrete details. That's what they have provided in this letter. And let me get into that, because it outlines both what they say that they will do in the wake of the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, but also it talks about steps that have been taken since Jesse Van Rootselaar's account had been banned back in June of 2025 for problematic content. And of course, we know that the RCMP were not notified about that because it didn't meet a threshold for the company. There were no signs of credible or imminent planning. Now, the VP for Global Policy writing this letter writes that over several subsequent months, they had made improvements to their law enforcement referral program, and that they had consulted and involved mental health and behavioral experts. Meaning, and I want to read you this part of the letter here, it reads, "We have made our referral criteria more flexible to account for the fact that a user may not discuss the target, means, and timing of planned violence in a ChatGPT conversation, but that there may be potential risk of imminent violence." And then they go on to write, "Under our enhanced law enforcement referral protocol, we would refer the account banned in June 2025 to law enforcement were it discovered today." And it is that line that is really sitting with, and you heard it from the BC's Premier just last half hour, it feels heavy because it feels like that is a possible, were these lives necessary to be lost? I mean, was there a way of having prevented this? Further to the possibility of preventing further violence, they do, as I say, outline steps that they will be taking in the wake of the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, specifically talking about strengthening their police referral criteria, developing a point of contact with Canadian law enforcement, improving their ability to help a ChatGPT user should there be signs that that individual is in mental distress and in need of local help or law enforcement to respond, and as well enhance ability to detect repeat policy violators. And this is sort of buried down deep in the letter here, but what it says is that despite their detection system, Jesse Van Rootselaar had an account banned in June, but had been able to start up a second ChatGPT account. That account, Ian, was a note shared with law enforcement only after the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, when the shooter's name became public. That's when the information came to RCMP.
So as you pointed out, BC Premier David Eby just speaking to the media moments ago, he really does seem frustrated by what's happened with ChatGPT. Tell us a bit about what happened at that news conference.
Well, I mean, he did acknowledge there's a lot of information that is in this letter that has just landed on our inboxes in the last hour. But it is not enough, he said. He was very clear that he does not believe that a company should be able to be making their own decisions about what might be affecting public safety in Canada. He says he was offered a meeting with with the company's safety officer. He also talked about the fact that a meeting with BC government officials had taken place, and that there was information now that they know was withheld from those ministers, and that the company has apologized. He has said no thank you to that lower level meeting. He wants to meet with the CEO, Sam Altman. He's assured that that meeting is going to take place. We don't have a time on that. And he outlined questions that he has that he'll be bringing up. Take a listen.
The big trick with the changes that have been proposed by OpenAI is we don't actually know what they will mean because we don't actually know what information OpenAI had in terms of the information input by the shooter and what the chatbot responded with to the shooter. We don't know whether ChatGPT assisted the shooter in planning. We don't know the information that the shooter put in and whether any reasonable person presented with a transcript after the flag went up would have gone to police. We just simply don't know.
And he assured the public, Ian, that we will know. He said that this is information that he believes the RCMP has, but the public will have it. And if it is not forthcoming prior to, then after the RCMP investigation is complete, he promised a public inquiry.
Interesting. We talked exactly about this yesterday,
Yeah,
right?
we did.
That at some point, we in the public need to have this information to understand whether OpenAI, which runs ChatGPT, acted in a reasonable or an unreasonable way. But the other thing that really struck me, David Eby says, it sounds like under the new rules, ChatGPT, OpenAI, would have notified the RCMP.
Yes.
These children would not have been killed. And that idea that this change in rules that came too late to save these children, I mean, to me, he looked like he was deeply disturbed by this. All of this kind of breaking just in the last hour.
Yeah.
So I know you're going to stay on the story, and we'll talk more about this probably next hour,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Okay, Sarah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.